All right, Kylie, how are you? Welcome to the
I'm
show.
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so obviously I'm Australian. Where, are you in New York? I assumed New
Yes,
York.
yes, I'm in New York.
How
We
is it
actually
like?
moved from LA last October during the pandemic. So we relocated. We're ready for something new, and it's so exciting to get to explore New York more now that things are back open.
I feel like all the amazing creators live in New York, right? Or they're everywhere.
I mean, there are some great creators everywhere, but I will say, like, it's been so fun to get to know so many in New York, especially.
Oh my God. Are you just like making your and eating your way through different places?
Yes,
And
like it's actually stressful to choose places because there are so many restaurants to eat at that, it's you can't eat at them all. I think someone did a study where it would take you like, I think it was like 70 years or something to eat your way through New York. It's like something insane.
oh my God, I don't know about the quality,
Yeah.
but also then because you're a food blogger, and then it makes me think, I'm like, well, do you just come home and you're like, why the fuck do I bother cooking then? Like,
No, so everything gets eaten that I make. But I mostly cook during the week, and like I'm testing recipes during the week and doing that. And then weekends, my time off. That's when I don't really feel like
100%.
cooking. That's when we try new restaurants. So it's a
I know.
balance.
100% it has to be. Do you want to just let people know who you are first? That would be
Yeah. Yeah. I guess we should start with that.
we should. We're just assuming because yeah, you're amazing. But
Thank you. I'm Kylie Mazon-chambers. I have a food blog, Cooking with Cocktail Rings, and basically my goal is to create restaurant quality dishes that you can make at home, make things a little bit more approachable, but some incredible, really flavorful meals.
I love that. And that's why
Yeah.
I've followed you for a while and I'm like, she gets it. She just understands. Yeah, she gets it.
Thank
But
you.
is there anything worse? I mean, from one recipe developer to another, I don't know if there's anything that makes me rage more than when I go out and I have a dish that's like so disappointing. And I'm like, I can make it more better than this.
Yes. I totally understand that. And it really is, it sucks. That's, I mean, I definitely try to pick my places strategically that I'm going out to eat, as long as it's in my control. Like, obviously, if my friends pick a place, then that's out of my control. But most people also turn to me to make the reservation.
I
So
know, right? The pressure's
I,
on.
yeah, yeah, but it's okay. I get to choose from my list. I keep like a crazy Excel spreadsheet of places I want to go, and so it's like better to choose that way.
It is so much easier. And then it's probably categorized in different kind of cuisine types. Yeah, of course it
It
is.
is. It is with notes. It's great. It works out.
I
No
don't think
disappointing meals.
people exactly, and I don't think people understand like how much like goes into recipe developing a recipe between the
Absolutely.
thought process, the mapping it all out, and then the photos, and then writing it up and forgetting that you put the onions in the method. And so, have you done that?
I think what the other thing that people forget is like, we test these multiple times. It's not like we just like brainstormed it and we're like, here you go. I think people forget that there's a whole process, and there's testing and you know feedback too. Because I'll post a photo sometimes like that doesn't have a recipe yet. People are like, recipe. I'm like, oh my God, chill. I'm creating free content for you.
Calm down, it'll
Give
come out
me a
next week. Are you
minute.
going to cook it tonight?
Give me a minute. Yeah. Did you just saw this recipe? You're that stoked about it? I mean, great, but
Hold your knickers.
give me
Yeah.
a minute. Yeah.
Who usually tests your, like, do you just test it yourself? Obviously, I know I test my own a couple of times, but I feel like I need an
Yeah.
external person to, yeah, kind of glance over, because I never pick up on my own errors, like grammatical errors.
Yes.
My friends
So my
sometimes like, where do I put the
grandparents,
garlic? I'm like, shit.
it's it's really hard to read back over your own recipes and just any kind of time you're writing. Personally, it's hard for me to reread my own stuff multiple times and try and catch every error. My grandparents are actually my editors. They are incredible. They, yeah, they're amazing. My grandfather is like the best writer I know, and so he's the one, he like would ghostwrite like everyone in the family's Christmas letters and stuff. Yeah, so funny. So Him and my grandmother edit my recipes. She makes sure everything's in order and everything's there. And then he kind of mostly will take over the grammatical stuff.
It's so funny you say that because
they've got a great turnaround time too.
Yeah, because they got so much time. But it's so true you say it, because lately I've had a few like older people love my stuff, and I'm going to reach out. I'm like, I want to, because they just understand the traditional way a recipe kind of has to be written. Like even things that people don't get, it's like the ingredients, like listing them in the order that, you know, that you cook, that you put them in the recipe, in the method. I like, before I'd be like, oh, whatever, I'll just put the carrots at the end. And I never thought that, because obviously I didn't, you know, kind of self-taught here, but
it takes a while.
It's crazy. When was the point where you were like, okay, I want to start a blog? Like I need to, because for me, it was when I kind of went out to restaurants and I was like, damn, if I can cook better than this, like, I don't want to say it because everyone's like, oh, this is, and I'm like, it's not bad. And I'm not saying every restaurant, but there were some things like, you know, the kind of weeknight meal places that I was like, mine tastes better. But when was your kind of Jesus moment?
So I've always cooked for my family. My dad and I would cook a lot together growing up, and my mom is much more of a baker, so she doesn't really cook. And so I had written down a lot of my recipes when I was moving. I moved from New Jersey back to LA, and I was writing down all my recipes to give to my mom so that she could kind of recreate them. And I realized I loved doing it, and it was really fun for me. And so I had started applying to other jobs in LA. I was unsure what I was doing. It was like the after college time. And my husband encouraged me, my now husband encouraged me to start posting them. And so I did. And I ended up working with some really talented chefs who taught me so much about the proper recipe writing, formatting, and all of that, and testing. And so I got really lucky, and it just kind of took off from there. I've always loved photography also. And so it's fun that I get to combine a lot of different passions into one thing.
It is. How many years ago was that? How long have you been doing this?
God, I guess it's almost been like, it's like 6 or 7 years now.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the beginning, I was like, I want to just, you know, I don't want to post my recipes online. I just want to write a cookbook. And I like, now looking back, I'm like, that's insane. Like, I can't believe I thought that I could just like do that. First of all, I knew nothing. Like it's crazy, you know, how far everything builds. And looking back, I'm like, that's insane, but it worked out for the best. And now I have a cookbook called Share and Savor. And so everything happened in its time.
And I think once you start to just like let go and just let it just flow and stuff, because it's hard as a creator, and, you know, it's always in the back of your mind, like, okay, how do I, you know, charge? Like, where do I make money? And when something comes so easy for us, we don't necessarily see it being like in the early days, like worth, you know what I mean? Like, oh,
yeah, it's hard to
be paid
when you have certain, hobbies, you don't realize that you can charge for them and you know, make it into more than just a hobby.
Absolutely. I agree. But what was your first, do you remember your first recipe? Or one of the early ones that you were like, damn, this is so good. And then you look back and you're like, what? I mean, it's normal. It's normal to do.
So it's funny because it is totally normal to do that. I still have like the whole list of my recipes that I had written for my mom when I moved. And actually a lot of them have been embellished upon and kind of reworked to be recipes that are on my blog. And they're like some of like, you know, my top recipes, but they definitely, again, needed that like, oh, we need to reorder these ingredients. We need to go through this method because this wording does not make sense. This is like not gonna help someone learn.
Yeah.
So more so like that, where I was able to rework them and make them into recipes that are now on the blog that, you know, look pretty and work well.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing with that is that when I first started posting recipes, seeing like my photography grow is crazy. So like I've given a bunch of my recipes a glow up, redone the photos, facelift. And it makes big, facelift, because it makes a big difference.
Well, I think it does. And then over time, people start to associate you and your brand with your style of photography. And they kind of start to recognize like, oh, that's definitely, I can kind of tell, you know, sometimes like, oh, that's her recipe, or I don't know, or like Half-Baked Harvest. I see her, like, you just know. And then
It is true.
sometimes,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
true.
you have that, and that's really good. It's unique and you can't really replicate it, and people can try to, but it's never comes
I
out
appreciate
the
that.
same.
I mean, it definitely it took a while, at least for me, to kind of develop my own style and figure out what I was doing. In the beginning, I felt like I was kind of just like seeing other people's things and being like, oh, I want it to be like that. And
And
it was more
trying
so
really
like,
hard
yeah,
to
yeah,
make it look a certain way. But then I think when you let go, it just,
yeah, yeah. It definitely, it's again, it's like a learning curve. It takes time. Some things you can't rush as much as you want to see the results like tomorrow, right then. But it does, it takes time. And so I'm proud of what I built over the years.
oh yeah, you bloody should be. You're amazing.
Thank
Do
you.
you, this is, so do people come to you and they're like, Kylie, I don't know, what should I cook? Like, what do you think? Like, I've got this, I've got some asparagus, I've got some, like, what can I make? Like, do you feel like you're really good on your feet and just can think of something
Yeah.
straight away? Yeah.
So some friends will text me like, these are the 5 things I have in my whole house. I'm like, first of all, you need to go to the grocery store. But second, yeah, it's like my own personal version of Chopped. It's fun to kind of think of something to create for them, or tell them, you know, what they should make with it. And then sometimes I'll be like, here are some really easy recipes to build on. I have a blog post that's like 25 beginner recipes that people can kind of learn techniques as building blocks. And I think that's really helpful for people who might be newer to cooking.
Exactly. Especially like things like, I always say, like things like risotto. If you can do a base really good risotto, then it's just great to just like veggie dump. If you have like a few other ingredients, you could just load it up. Like those kind of foundational cooking recipes are so amazing. But
exactly, flexible recipes like that are
I agree.
the best.
And
I
then
think it's
I'm
really
always
important
like,
for beginners to learn that,
yeah.
because then, you know, then you don't have to follow a recipe to a T. Once you get the base down, then you can create your own and you can make substitutions, and it just makes you more comfortable in the kitchen.
I agree. I agree. And then I'm always like preaching about like double batching, obviously, like for people that are a bit time poor and stuff, or if you make a little bit more, just think ahead, you know, freeze and batch. And yeah, so then you're saving yourself a headache for another night. But do you sometimes feel like, I don't know, sometimes I get in these moods where I'm like, I'm just so blank. I just can't think of
Yes.
anything. And I'm like, I don't feel like anything. I want to create something, but I don't know what. Like, where do you go to like get
I'm
yourself out of
glad
that lull?
that it's
Like,
not just me, because
oh
it
my God.
does, you know, it's tough when it happens. And I will say I keep a list of recipe inspiration, like while I'm out. If I think of something or I think of a really good flavor combination, I will write it down and keep I keep a Word doc of like all different ideas or flavor combinations. And so that's helpful during those times. But again, sometimes you just can't force it. And that's when I'm like, okay, I'll focus on something else on my website, like SEO or something like that for today. Or you know what? Or I will just reshoot old recipes and give some facelifts because the inspiration is just not there. I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to clear my head and then come back to this.
Sometimes I have like the most
What do you do?
random. Yeah, I do the exact same thing. And it's usually
Okay.
when I'm out and about, which goes to show that we need some time out, right? Because
It's true.
it's true. Going out, even if I'm like talking to friends or whatever, I'll get like random, I mean, not always like amazing ideas, but something, and then I can build up on it. And then I just put it in my notes or somewhere that like,
The other thing
yeah,
is
I
like
usually
my friends will
notes.
text me
Yeah.
with ideas if they had a really good meal
Yes.
out. Then they're like, you should first try this restaurant, but then also like I had this really good dish. It was really cool. Like I think we could recreate it. And so that's fun. And again, like going out to restaurants, it's always great inspiration.
I love it. I love it. Who are your like go-tos for inspiration, like in the food blogging world or recipe create developer world? Like who are some people that you're
There's
like, damn, she got it good again? But like in it, obviously not in a bad way. We're all very nice with
no,
each other,
it's
but like
amazing.
it's like I'm like, oh my God, she's freaking phenomenal. Or he, you know?
Yeah. So I mean, lately I've been up on like the TikTok food game. I don't really post because I just like don't
Do you feel
I don't
old?
know. It's just like a lot. First of all, I do feel old, but it's like so many platforms to focus on that it's overwhelming. So I'm hoping that I can start posting on there more, but I just get like panicky, anxious, then I just don't post.
I know. And I think it's a bit different to Instagram because Instagram, you can have the like longer comment section, so you can put the like recipe in there or a link or whatever. Whereas TikTok, I feel like they're really like, the people attack you if you don't have it in the freaking video. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I feel like I just like haven't found my format for that yet. But I mean, going back to Instagram or like the food blogging community, Dale at the Daily Plate is incredible. She has gorgeous photos and amazing recipes. A lot of like Southern twists. Sarah from Brahma Bakery is amazing. For baking, Erin from Cloudy Kitchen, Mike Bakes. I mean, these are also like my friends, and I'm friends with them because they're so freaking talented, and I love seeing their stuff. Ari at Well Seasoned Studio, Emily Fedner, and Sydney Yorkshire. Like, just people that it's one of those things like where you surround yourself with people who have all these great ideas and are really cool people in the community that then, it's inspiring. So it's nice. Yeah, and it's kind of like in like the food blogger world, like you don't have coworkers in a traditional sense. So it's like people like that are my coworkers, which is cool.
I love that. No, that's really good. And I think like in any industry, but obviously the food industry, it's like people say like, oh, I don't like the word competitor, because I'm like, it's not a competition. Like,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. And that's the thing is like, you can follow more than one food blogger. You can follow more than one thing. And there's also so many different niches, like baking, more savory, like people who do much more like gluten-free recipes or vegan. And there's a lot more niches. I mean, it's funny. I feel like my niche now is that I don't have like a dietary restriction, or I don't cook just one type of food. Like I cook a little bit of everything, and that's become my niche.
That's it's so funny you speak of that, because some people are just like, what do you specifically do? And I'm like, I don't have like, obviously it's meals, but it's like I don't have that particular like vegan or anything like that, because I don't eat like that. So I can't, I just feel like for me to be the most authentic person of myself, it has to be something that we eat, or I feed my family, or I cook for friends. Because I suppose when you're cooking for people that you love or whatever, that's where the inspo comes from, rather than having to think of, I don't know, people that necessarily I don't have a human connection with, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Totally.
Yeah. So it's just one of those funny things that, I don't know. Yeah. Do you meet up with these people? This is another thing, because I just feel like in Sydney, I'm like, I feel like I need to have like a meetup with other foodies and just
you should
talk about food. And
you should. It's honestly great. I mean, there are some people that I have only talked to like, over social media, but then there are people that like Mike and Erin and Ari, we've like done dinner at Ari's house in New Jersey. And it's fun to be around people who do something similar as you, because being a food blogger can be very isolating.
We work at home. We work at home. We're homebodies, but then when we get out, we're like,
it's fun.
Well, it was so funny because I was thinking about podcast topics because I do a couple of episodes, and I was like, I really want to do one on like tacos, nothing like too in detail. I was like, and then I jumped on Instagram, and your post from a few weeks ago jumped up like literally top of feed, and it was your tacos. And I was like, I like
maybe Instagram was listening. Who knows?
I was like, well, Instagram has spoken. So I'm going to reach out, and you're so kind enough to say yes. So I thought maybe like we could go through just a quick rundown of some taco flavors, maybe your go-tos. I recently did a chicken one, grilled chicken tenderloins. I did my own like kind of Mexican dry marinade. Then I did like an avocado and jalapeno sauce with a nice Mexican salsa. So it was really,
you're making me hungry.
I know.
It's afternoon here.
But I know that you like have made so many amazing taco. What are your like?
I love tacos. That's another thing that I loved living in LA, because there was some incredible Mexican food, and I would do food tours. I do food tours like around here where with some friends, Sydney and Emily, where we'll pick like one cuisine or something and try a bunch of different places. And I loved getting to do that because there are so many different types of things like that, like tacos. Like you can't have just one taco.
You can't.
My favorite right now, I'm actually working on a recipe for it, is birria tacos. It's like braised beef, and it's incredible, and a chili sauce.
Stop it. I did a bit of brainstorming,
but I love like
well.
chicken tinga.
Yes.
I love just Mexican chicken street tacos, just like small tortillas. That's where I used to have like this little taco stand that didn't even have a sign or anything in LA that I would just get stop. If it was out there, I had to stop and get tacos. Like it was just so good.
That's one thing that I'm probably jealous of. Like we do have one place that it's not like authentic Mexican, but down near Bondi, and they do like a fish taco, like a really good fish taco.
I love fish tacos.
I mean, you know, the batter.
Do you go battered or grilled?
I make grilled personally at home because it's easier and it's like, but and healthier. I try to be, but I mean, nothing's better than battered. Nothing.
I mean, if you're out, you just got to go for it. Go for the battered. I agree. It does have to be good.
It has to be a good batter. Can't be oily, can't be stodgy, has to be just perfect. I don't know. We're pretty fussy about that stuff, but I had to look on Pinterest as well because I was like, I need to like kind of think, because obviously when I jump on here, I can't think half the time, but pork and corn with chimichurri. I love chimichurri. Oh my gosh.
I love chimichurri. It's delicious. I love it just on steak. Have you ever had salsa matcha?
No. What is that?
It's really good. It's like toasted seeds, usually like sesame seeds and stuff, in a chili oil. It's so good. I have a recipe for it on my website. Put it over steak. Not to say you'll forget about chimichurri, but it's really good.
Oh my God, you have to send me the recipe and I'll put it and I'll put it in the show notes as well. You guys call it shrimp, we call it prawn, and avocado crema. That's nice. I mean, avocado, I feel like I can't just have it by itself. It needs to have like that balance, like lime, chili, avo. Oh my God.
This is a little on topic, but are you an avocado toast person? Do you like avocado toast?
Yeah, of course I do. Of course.
But do you eat it with just avocado? Like, I think,
no.
Speaking of like plain, like some people just eat it with avocado, and I think that I can't.
That's weird. That's like baby food.
I don't enjoy it.
I mean, it needs to at least have lime, chili, and feta at the bare minimum.
Okay, that's fair.
Because
if we're talking just like plain avocados on toast, then it's not my thing.
I mean,
which is like kind of controversial, but
really, I just find that weird. Like, do they at least put salt? I mean, it's so bland. It's like a butter replacement. It's not. It's not a meal. It's a replacement.
Yeah, that is something. Speaking of salt, that is like my number one tip for people who are, home cooks is salt your food. Salt your food at every step of the way. Make sure you salt your food, because I don't know if I feel like in the 90s people got like really conscious about salt and fat, and food got really bland,
but they'll still cook a whole chook in a microwave. I didn't understand that. I was like, at what point was salt bad? Before or after the microwave? I don't get it.
So yeah, my number one tip is just for people to salt their food.
I know, and taste as you cook. Taste it along the way, and don't be scared about it. What about vegetarian options for any vegetarian?
I love. I've actually tried to include a lot more vegetarian recipes, just because I've tried to cut back on just meat and fish, and just do a little bit more of quality over quantity. And so I do a lot of vegetarian cooking. Actually, I love Indian recipes, especially. They lend themselves really well to vegetarian cooking.
Oh, absolutely. I'm still yet to like really nail a curry the same as an authentic restaurant. It's not easy. It's not like a vindaloo. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Like to get it to the way that they do it. I'm like, what is it? There's a secret. Can you please show me in the back kitchen? Because I don't know. It's like a textural creaming. I don't know. There's something, but this is something that they learn generations. And that's what I always say. I'm like, it sort of comes from within.
I think the best thing is to really, I've tried to expand my cookbook collection to include a lot of different authors from different backgrounds, because there are just little things that go into different cuisines that, you don't always see online on recipes. Like a lot of it is in cookbooks, people who specifically write about certain cuisines.
I agree.
I find that really helpful.
I agree. Like even just with us, like there's certain things that I learned from mom, like tips or tricks and methods that you might think logically, like why would you do that there? But there's a reason why that's there, or a certain herb or spice that goes with something else that just takes something to the next level. I recently made because my dad's Middle Eastern and my mum's South American and my
Mhm.
husband's Italian. So there's like a whole freaking fusion going on.
I love
But
it.
I recently made baba ganoush, and it's a traditional one. And when I see people put the eggplant in a blender, I'm like, no, like, of course, like it tastes nice, but it's like it has to be chopped and it has to be smoked. And anyway, so I made it traditionally, and then I got a burrata and I put that on top. And my mom's like, what are you doing? That's wrong. And I'm like, just go with me. And then I crushed up like some chili and walnuts and shallot, and I made a dressing, and it just was perfect. And it sounds so
It
weird.
sounds incredible.
Incredible, but
that's some really good flavor and texture right there.
like amazing. And my dad was a bit like, what's this and why is that there? Because they just don't think outside of the box. And I get some people are just very, one lane with some traditional stuff. I kind of like to experiment a little bit, but not trash it at the same time.
I think I think that's there's a fine line, I think, between experimenting and trying different methods for different things and going too far. I think it's like, as long as that it's not traditional. Like any recipes that I make from different cultures, I really try to, emphasize like this is what is traditional, or this is what I've changed, because I just think that's where, can cross the line.
Yeah, exactly. Saying that it's a traditional thing when it's not.
Yeah,
and stuff.
Yeah, also, exactly.
Just you guys are
properly attributing, I guess.
Yeah, inspired, Asian inspired. Oh my God, sometimes my Asian stuff, it's like a mixture of Japanese and Southeast Asian. I'm like, it tastes nice. And I'm sure that if I, some of my Asian friends are just like, look, that's not obviously traditional and stuff, but they're like, it's so good. But yeah, I think it's just probably because we're so multicultural here as well. And you guys are too, that you just learn from different people and put it into your own recipes.
Especially, I mean, areas like New York, where there's just, you can get food from, and ingredients too, from so many different cultures. It's so fun to get to work with all these different spices, and like there's specific grocery stores, and I love exploring. I mean, especially like I spend so much time in Chinatown. It's just so much fun eating dumplings and noodles, and it's great.
I love it. Do you feel like you get your ingredients, like you try it for your recipes? Are they just from mainstream sort of supermarkets, or more? Do you have a range?
I try, because I definitely have a range. I try to make most recipes, like at least with substitutions that people can get other places, but there are some ingredients that, it's hard to find them at more, bigger chain stores.
Yeah.
One thing is interesting though, like Calabrian chili peppers, something that a couple years ago, it was a lot harder for me to find. And now they're popping up because they're just getting a lot more popular. And so it's a lot easier to find them now. So
I feel like with our like space on the online world, like I think we've created and introduced people at different countries of different ingredients, and there's been more of a demand and requests, and it's really good because you can see now a lot of stuff, like even in our mainstream supermarket, I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's some good stuff here, like availability wise for people that maybe live in areas that can't go to certain like little delis.
Exactly. So I try to do substitutions, and again, like being able to order specific ingredients on places like Amazon and have it show up in a couple of days is really helpful when trying different recipes. There's just a lot more availability. I know, I guess.
I love America for that reason. So what are you working on now? Like, what is your current like a food project?
Holiday recipes. Once September hits, I feel like it's just one holiday right after another. Halloween is like next week.
I know.
and then we go right into Thanksgiving and right into Christmas and New Year's. And so it's like a lot of specific kind of more thematic recipes that I'm working on. Just like a little bit more seasonal cooking.
Is your Thanksgiving like the style of the dinner different to Chris? Like how is it sort of different? I know that obviously you guys do the turkey.
So I guess it depends on the family. I mean, my family does like turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, green beans, that kind of stuff for Thanksgiving, cranberry sauce, and rolls. And then for Christmas, we do baked stuffed shrimp on Christmas Eve. And then we do a beef tenderloin and like a potato au gratin for Christmas Day. So it's like but that's also like, that's just like my family. That's kind of like become our tradition to do.
Yeah.
So like some other people do like ham and like turkeys and stuff. So it kind of varies, but yeah.
Oh, that's so amazing. So I always ask my guests if you could please give the listeners one can't be fucked meal, your go-to. I mean, you did provide me with one of your, I think it was a pasta dish, wasn't it?
I think so.
It was a pasta, or maybe like a taco one, since we kind of spoke about tacos. I can link it in the show notes.
Oh my gosh,
you have like so many. You're like, let me just bring out my filing cabinet.
I love tacos so much. It's so good. Can't be fucked. I would say my chicken street tacos. Chicken street tacos, it's super straightforward. I make them with chicken thighs, which, you know, it's a cheaper cut of meat, super flavorful, and they don't really dry out as much, stay a lot more tender. And it's spiced with like chili powder and a couple other spices, just grilled, and with like a little bit of like an onion kind of salsa on corn tortillas. Super simple. You can dress it up, add more stuff, or you can just keep it basic like that. Or I mean, again, now I'm like, okay, or you could do this taco.
Vegetarian
tacos are amazing.
Yes. See what I mean? The options are endless. I was even thinking like, what about like a butter chicken taco? I mean, obviously it's not traditional, but like with like a mint dipping sauce on it.
I mean, that sounds very, very good. Have you ever made your own tortillas? I have once I started making my own flour tortillas, like now I can't go back.
Yeah, I did once. I don't usually, purely for time. But I have to say there is nothing better than making. Do you have a recipe on your website as well?
I do. I have a recipe for flour tortillas. I make them with bacon fat because it adds
I heard that.
An insane amount of flavor. It's so good. And it's good because like you can repurpose all ingredients. It's great.
Exactly. 2-in-1 meal, really. Do you want to let everyone know?
What's your favorite before we
wrap it up, because we still have to talk about more.
What's your go-to? Yeah, your go-to taco combination that you can't mess up.
My grilled fish tacos, grilled fish with some nice dry herbs. Good. I just grill it purely but I make the skin crispy, so it's got that texture. And then I make a nice slaw to go with it. And I have to say my slaw is amazing and jam-packed because I put nuts in it. I put some apple in there. I've got the heat in the dressing with avocado, a bit of mayonnaise, chilies or jalapenos. So it's perfectly balanced.
That's amazing. I definitely have to try it.
I'll send you the recipe. It's honestly so good. One of like a few people, because it's in one of my books, but they're like, it's not normal, this slaw. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And it goes with like ribs. It goes with everything. It's amazing. And yeah, just delicious and easy. It is a bit of chopping though when you make your slaw, but it's worth it. It's so worth it.
Yeah.
It's nothing worse than a shit slaw. You know, when you go out and it's just got a bit of lemon, and I'm like, you can do better than that.
So true. It's so true.
And it's dry. I mean, I need it to be coated with flavor.
Yeah.
You feel my anger?
It's nothing. It adds nothing.
It's like having avocado on toast with nothing.
Exactly.
Just a different
We've
texture.
all got our pet peeves.
Sometimes I'm like to people like, really? Come on. You know, you're charging $20 for this taco. We need a little bit more than that. Okay. But that's definitely my go-to. And it has to be a good tortilla. Like it has to be has to be. Otherwise, when it's like rubbery, cold, rubbery.
I agree.
They need some fat in it. Thank you for coming on. That was
nice. Of course. Chat. Thank you so much for having me.
Did you want to let everyone know like where you are, where your handles are? I will tag everything in the show notes, of course. But do you want to let people know where they can find you?
Yeah. So you can find all my recipes on my website, cookingwithcocktailrings.com. Same thing, Instagram, Cooking with Cocktail Rings. And I'm here in New York. If you come, reach out and I would love to give you some recommendations, show you around.
We can do a bus tour together.
Yeah.
Or just meet in LA and we'll just go to that taco truck.
Perfect.
I get gastro. It's fine. It's so worth it. I don't care. Didn't kill anyone.
I'll make it worth your while.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So great talking with you. Bye.
All right.